Right, this is gonna be a fucking depressing video. I used to listen to this guy's videos over the past few years. He used to upload stuff and then he'd delete it all and then he'd start doing videos again. I haven't listened to any of his stuff for about a year or so, maybe a couple of years. I can't even remember. I've been so busy with doing stuff. He just popped up in my mind today. I thought, oh, let me look at his channel, see what he's doing. And Matt Rice, his name is. Matt, like Matthew, Matreis. And the last video, this video he's uploaded, it says 1 year ago. When they say 1 year, it could be longer. He's in a hospital bed, he's got 2 tubes up his nose. And he doesn't look to be in a good way. And like I say, I used to enjoy this guy's content. He came across as a really good guy. I'm talking about him in the past tense. I don't know if he's dead or not. I don't know. I hope he's not. I really hope he's not. Anyway, he was. I noticed one video he did a while. One of the last videos I watched of his, he was getting annoyed. I think he's a vegan, whatever you want to call it. And I think he'd watched a Gotis video or something, Gatis Severage. He'd said, oh, I watched a video by some guy and all he's talking about is eating meat and you shouldn't eat vegetables, and he was getting annoyed about it. Anyway, this is I'm going to play through some of this. On my tablet and just comment on it and just let you listen to it. This is fucking depressing. Like I say, he's in a hospital bed, he's got 2 tubes up his nose. He's lost shitloads of weight, his eyes are totally black, like sunken in. He looks in a really bad state.
Oxygen levels get so low, my oximeter, the thing you put on your finger to see how much oxygen is in your blood, you want to be around 98, 99, 97 is good, but when that gets down to the 80s, you need oxygen.
Bad.
When it gets down in the 70s, it can get kind of scary. Mine would get down into the 60s, just from standing up. I'm just moaning and yelling the whole time. I mean, this is worse than climbing Mount Everest. Worse than climbing Mount Everest. Just to use the bathroom, man, every day. It's like a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And then finally being able to get back to bed and lay down horizontal. And that's the only time I could sort of catch my breath a little bit and get my oxygen back up into the 90s. I ended up getting some oxygen. There's albuterol, vapor breathing treatments, which would help get stuff up. I went to the emergency room. They thought it was some kind of infection. They gave me an inhaler, which really didn't work. After 2 months of this kind of thing, you think it'll go away. After 3 months, you're really hoping that it'll go away. But then the months just keep rolling by, and it's just not getting any better. And you're trying to do everything you can. I'm still doing all the medical medium stuff. It's why I look okay. It's why I look sort of okay. I know my teeth don't look that great. I've been drinking a lot of blueberry juice and having blueberry smoothies, so when I got kind of a dark mouth, then it seemed kind of gross. But
So I got to stop. I'm not attacking this guy. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I've got nothing against this guy. He's in a hospital bed. He's got tubes going up his nose. He's talking about drinking blueberry juice. Blueberry juice. He's doing all the good stuff. It goes on. I've watched 10 minutes of this video. I'm replaying some of it. He's drinking fucking blue. This is like, I'm sorry, mate. You need to be eating some. Just eat some eggs and some sardines. It's time to throw this shit out now. It's time to throw this shit. These whatever these weird health regimens that you've convinced yourself are so beneficial to you. This is DEFCON 1. You're on a fucking. You're in a hospital bed with tubes up your nose. You need to throw all this out now. You need to be eating some fucking something. Chicken fucking livers, anything. He's talking about blueberry juice. This is just a...
It's weird because it's just such an aggressive thing that happened. Really aggressive. Because what happened was, I got an AC unit for my bedroom because my room is so hot in the spring and summertime. And there's no way to fix it. It gets so hot. So I got a portable AC unit that would cool things down really, really cold. And I would sleep with that thing on, making my room like almost frigid, like a freezer. And I would sleep with that, breathing this freezing cold air every night. And I think it kind of led to an opportunity for a pathogen that was already there. You know how they wait for opportunities like that, like when you're weakened, if there's an environment that they can get a hold of and be comfortable in. And me breathing freezing cold air every night I started to notice the pain after about a week. I got a real sharp pain in my lungs after a week of using this AC unit. I'm like, well, it should just go away. It's what you always think. It'll just go away. After 2 weeks, the pain was still there. After 3 weeks, it was like, this has got to go, because I'm noticing that it's getting hard to breathe, actually. It's not just a kind of a sharp pain. Now it's getting hard to breathe. So I got rid of the AC unit, but it was already too late because it still just kept getting worse, Getting really hard to breathe. I'm panting everywhere I go. Just panting around the house. I can't leave the house. And it did get to the point where eventually I couldn't even get out of bed. I had to have people do things for me.
This guy's about 35.
Everybody had to make my smoothies for me. Everybody had to do, all my stuff for me.
He's in this state, he's drinking smoothies. For health.
And I'm already in a kind of compromised state because nobody knows this. Like, you do medical medium, how could you get sick like that? Well, no. I kind of destroyed myself over the past couple years. Since I had my first session with Anthony in 2014, before he even wrote his first book, when I had my first session with him, I was perfect, pretty more or less, for about 5 or 6 years. I fall off the wagon a few times, but man, I was a raw vegan for 2 years. The first 2 years I was 100% raw. Boy, I never felt that good in my life. I felt so good. But then, after that, I started having some steamed potatoes. I'd have some steamed veggies, and I would start to make soups and curries and add more fat with, like making a curry with coconut milk. I'd make cashew garlic dressing for salads. I put some dulse in it, dulse flakes that were soaked, and kind of, pulse that in, and it almost like kind of the combination of the garlic and the sour from all the lemons I would use, and the saltiness from the dulse is just spot on, perfect for salad.
I'm sorry, I'm not attacking this guy. He's in a fucking hospital bed with tubes up his nose, and he's looking back on all this stuff that he's been eating that's probably killing him slowly. And he's looking back, it's like this is the halcyon days when I was so healthy, my diet was so healthy.
Anyway, I was doing great like that for about 5 or 6 years. In 2020, something happened. I got overly confident. I thought I could get away with things. I started working at a restaurant.
What, you thought you could step
it
into the outside
made
world?
Something happened to me. In about February of 2020, a few things happened. I started getting takeout because I missed Indian food. And there's this amazing Indian place right down the road from where I live. So I started getting a lot to take out. Didn't matter that it was vegan. Didn't matter, God knows what kind of oil they're using. And you know how much oil they use in takeout, in Indian food.
Oil is not going to do this to you.
I knew it was probably bad, but I felt so good that I just didn't care. I thought I could get away with it. I even started getting Middle Eastern food. I would have falafel, fried stuff. Like, you just don't know what's in that oil. It's probably canola oil, the worst kind of oil imaginable for feeding pathogens. And the fact that I started working at a restaurant, who knows how many bugs I'm picking up all the time. And then I just start feeding these bugs.
I'm sorry, I was on the falafel train for a long time. I like falafel. I've been in the Middle East. I like falafel. But in combination with a bit of meat occasionally, sardines, chicken, whatever. And this guy, it's just, everything's, like I say, I'm not attacking this guy. I truly hope he hasn't died, but everything's bugs. It's something else. It's like, no, this is the diet you're eating. You cannot sustain yourself on this diet. It's a killer. It's vegan diet, vegan raw, whatever. It's a killer.
With this takeout that I was doing all the time, and for the first few months, I didn't notice anything. Usually if I go to a restaurant and I know they're using MSG or something weird in the ingredients, I can feel it the next day. If I go to a vegan restaurant or some kind of raw restaurant, I'm so sensitive now because I've been so clean for so long. I can notice that for sure. Like, you don't feel right, it's just really weird.
You've been killing yourself slowly, mate.
But for some reason, I felt okay with this Indian food. And so I started having a lot of it. A lot.
You're blaming bugs,
I'm talking a few times a week.
MSG,
At least.
oil.
And I did that for about a year and a half. And I started to develop some eczema, which I never had before. And some other problems that I don't want to get into.
This is so fucking depressing. You can like he's in a hospital bed. You can hear these announcements going on in the background in the hospital. Like he's in this awful environment, you know, with the tube up his nose, with fucking beeping shit going off, nurses running around everywhere. This awful synthetic environment. This guy, he was a really spiritual, is a really spiritual guy. Like the countryside, living out, getting the fresh air and the animals and the trees and nature, and he's stuck in this situation. Oh God, this is so fucking depressing.
So I had some things going on. And I thought I was doing good, because I had to get back to being strict again and being really, really disciplined as best as I could. But it didn't matter, because you can't do both of those things at the same time. Because I was still doing the celery juice, the lemon water, celery juice, heavy metal detox smoothie, all my supplements, every single morning. And even in the early afternoon, I was still doing really good stuff. Still having salads, but in the evening...
Salads, really good stuff. Really good stuff, he's saying. Salads in the morning. Salad. This is awful. I'm saying this guy, he's like... He's doing all this shit, like so convinced of this regimen, as he said himself, that he's on. And he's just fucking killing himself. He's just convinced of it. I tell you, right, I'm not joking. I used to go to work. I could do 2 or 3 12-hour shifts in a row, or night shifts, as a psychiatric nurse. 3 fucking long days in a row. I used to go to work some mornings, right? I'd have 2 eggs with coconut oil, because I get this problem with the oil as well. I went to the coconut oil and that cured me within a couple of days. 2 eggs, coconut oil, and a fucking tin of sardines at lunchtime, because I was so fucking busy. Didn't get time to get a break or anything. I could go on that like every day for like 3-4 days, night shifts, whatever. I was alright. He's eating salad in the morning. This is just hot.
In the early evening, boom, giant plate of Indian food. Every night. I'm talking every single night, man. All that bad oil in it, all that canola oil, and I know for a fact that's the kind of oil they were using. And the rice they're using. What kind of water are they cooking that rice in? City water, probably. I don't think they're using the clean, pure, filtered water.
Oh, fucking hell, man.
God knows what's in that water. And now I'm ingesting that.
I'm just sorry, like I've got every sympathy. Like I try and keep myself, I'm sitting here drinking beer and I smoke, but I try and keep myself clean. I try and do this and that. I use a water filter in England. I try and stay off that oil, all of this shit. But it's like, at some point, something else has got to come into play. It's like, your immune system should be, or you need to try keep it at a certain level. So your immune system, even if you are drinking city water, shit fucking city water out the tap and all this, Your immune system should be able to deal with that shit.
That every day too. You know. So after a year and a half of just poisoning myself, even though it tastes like heaven,
I think it sounds like a lot longer you've been poisoning
I'm starting
yourself.
to get symptoms, eczema, other things. And then I get this AC unit in my bedroom. That triggered something. And with all this C word stuff going around, it makes you a little suspicious, because I may have picked up one that was asymptomatic or at least dormant, and I gave it a perfect environment to flourish by breathing in freezing cold air every night, because you have no idea how hot my room gets. It is so hot in there, it's unbearable. You know how hard it is to sleep when you're just sweating
Yeah.
from heat, you know, your head's stuck to the pillow. And I was sick of it. There was no way to get rid of it. You know, the only way to cool down my room just a little bit is to make the rest of the house like an ice box. And I was sick of hearing my parents complain about it, with how cold it would get. You know, they're good people. It's not like they're complainers. They would just be like, "Ooh, this house is freezing." I'm like, "Well, my room is just about right." You know.
This is horrible. I mean, I can tell you, like, after several 2 years, nearly 2 years in Mexico, down on the coast, I know what he's saying. Like, so, like when it's so fucking hot at night, it's unbearable. But even then, like last couple of years, I'd have a fan blowing on me, and then after a certain amount of time, but like when it gets to about 3 or 4 in the morning, when it just starts turning, you got to turn it off, because it levels out. There's something else going on with this guy's body in terms
And
of
I
the
didn't
cold.
want to do that to him, so I got this AC unit, and so they could be really comfortable, have it just how they like it in the house, and it worked. You know, everything is perfect. But it's almost like I was at war with the hot air in my room. And with this AC unit, I was like, you know, I'd crank that thing up. This thing is big too, man. I would crank it up and just have that sucker going all night. All night. You know, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, just like, you know, it just feels good to have that cool, but I was overusing it very, very much, because, you know, it's like I almost see my breath, you know, and you don't want to do that to your lungs. You shouldn't be breathing air that cold, you know, where you almost have to, like, cover your mouth as you sleep. You know? But I was doing that every day for almost a month before I had to get rid of that thing, because the sharp pain was turning into shortness of breath, and it was too late when I got rid of it, and it just kept getting worse and worse. You know, then I was bedridden. I thought I just gave myself pneumonia. And yeah. So it's 6 months later.
Awful.
This happened in the beginning of August is when I became bedridden. Beginning of August. So it's been pretty much 6 months. And I'm in the hospital again. because things have developed and gotten even worse. I don't know how much I should share, because there's a lot of confidentiality stuff when it comes to health. You don't necessarily just want to open up about all your health stuff. Sometimes it's good to talk about it. You see people sharing their health journeys all the time online. But, certain other times discretion is important. I don't just want to, talk about, this happened 3 days ago and I've been living with this. And, when you're bedridden, also, you develop all kinds of other problems as well. It's not just the fact that I can't stand up, really. I can't walk.
Jesus Christ.
I can't exercise, certainly. I've tried. I've become emaciated. I'm about 95 pounds now. My muscles have atrophied. I got, bed sores, and they're not open sores, they're just sore. It really hurts. Other issues that happen when you're bedridden, I got those, so.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But it's funny because my doctors are like, well, you look good. It's like, well, I drink blueberry juice every single day. Lemon water with honey every single day. Smoothies. Pomegranate juice. When you can get good, really sweet pomegranates. Dude, juicing those things is fucking heaven. Pomegranate.
I'm sorry. I'm not like... Can anyone else see what's going on here? The man's emaciated, he can't walk, he can't go to the toilet, he's getting bed sores. And he's just singing the praises of pomegranate juice and whatever the hell it was. Lemon and honey, how great it is for him. And this guy is he's not dumb. This is a very intelligent guy. And it's like, it's like the blind spot. This is so fucking depressing.
Pomegranate juice from sweet pomegranates is the most wonderful thing. It's a gift from God. Really. That stuff is so good. So good for you, too. So I'm like loaded with antioxidants. My skin looks great. I look great. So, and my brain is great.
He can't get out of bed.
I'm coherent, I'm cogent, I'm there, I'm sharp.
Your brain's the last thing to go.
I do the B12, the zinc, all from Vimergy. B12, zinc, lemon balm, propolis, cat's claw.
Oh, fucking hell.
All the good stuff. And then the spirulina, the barley grass juice powder, L-lysine, micro-C. So I'm doing all this stuff that is really keeping me up on one level.
Spirulina, isn't it? This is like algae or something, like what fucking fish eat. The supplements that, I get on the supplement train every now and again, but I know there's all this evidence that they just don't fucking work. You have to get the vitamin from its source, not some fucking tablet. I get on that train all the time. This is so fucking bad.
But at the same time, this thing my lungs. And my body, I think my body was already dealing with so much because of the damage I did to it over the last couple years with all the really bad food that I was mixing with medical medium. And you know, there's a
He's talking about the Indian restaurant and the oil and the rice. I don't know what the fuck this medical medium thing is he's talking about. What I do remember from this guy, I don't even know how to describe it. He seemed to jump from one thing to another. Like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, he was really into Crowley, yeah, and into Aleister Crowley. And then a couple of years later, he was into this other thing. It was some kind of, I can't even remember what the fuck it was called. Maybe it's on some of his older videos. You can go and look at his channel. Human fucking development or something. Some capsule. And now he's this medical medium thing. This poor fucking guy.
a certain point where you just can't do that. You could maybe get away with it a couple times, once or twice maybe, but the way I was doing it, I don't want to get into the moderation thing. Like, oh, it's okay if you just do it a little bit. It's like,
That is what he should have been doing.
no, you have to be so careful about that. And that's why these brain shots have really helped me. The medical medium brain shots and Brain Saver. The craving shifter shot. Man, that has helped me so much. I wish I would have had that. I wish I would have had that 2 years ago. To stop the cravings, man, because the cravings killed me. I have a food addiction. I'm addicted to exotic food. I'm addicted to Thai food. That's another thing. I would drive all the way to Chicago to get this vegan Thai food. And Lord knows what kind of oil they're using. But I didn't care. I would just get it all the time. Indian food, all the time. Middle Eastern food. Stuffed grape leaves, tahini, the hummus. God knows what they put in that hummus, man. Like citric acid, all this stuff. But at least I'm doing medical medium every morning and doing medical medium every afternoon, right? That should be enough to offset what I'm doing. That's what I thought. Because I already felt...
This is fucking horrifying. This is fucking horrifying, and like I say, this guy is not stupid. He's not some fucking dumbass. And yet he's like convinced himself of something, and then it's just like, that's it. I'm sticking on this. And it's all good for me. And if anything else happens to me, it's some random element that came in and did me in. It can't be this thing that I've convinced myself of. Horrible. This is awful.
Felt great. I was doing everything perfect for months. But then...
Perfect.
Things just started falling apart. I got this job.
I'm not attacking this guy. Things started falling apart because what you were doing that you thought was perfect wasn't perfect. That's why things started falling apart.
Job at a super busy restaurant, and I love the work. Really, I love the work. But you gotta understand how much stuff gets passed around in that kind of environment. started doing that. At the same time, I started eating takeout like a madman. I even started smoking cigars periodically. So I just ran myself into the ground. I'm trying not to blame myself, because I was doing the best I can. It's just the cravings were just so overwhelming, and I couldn't just stop. But
So he's trying to live pure.
I did eventually, of course, only after I got really sick. Do you try to stop?
It's like a dietary Jane. You know, the Janes, they got sweep in front of them so they don't kill any insects. It's like, sorry mate, like being alive, every time you have a wash, you're killing all these billions of bacteria and stuff that are living. They're living things that are on you. Like Jainism, this is like dietary Jainism. What he's trying to do, trying to be pure. But you're in a fucked up world. The environment's completely fucked up. You need to eat shit just to keep your fucking immune system strong, so it can combat this stuff.
All the bad stuff, like even before I developed this lung problem. I had to stop. Of course, I stopped getting takeout. Even before that, before this whole lung thing, I wasn't having takeout anymore. I stopped that even 6 months before that, because I had to. I was like, just can't do it anymore. I was already slowing down. I realized I had some serious issues. Sometimes I would fall off the wagon and be like, I gotta have it, But now I'm here, and this is funny because Anthony talks about how this kind of thing can happen with people who do medical medium. They get better, they do it by the book, they heal themselves. Then they get confident, and they try to go back into old habits because they think they can.
Maybe Anthony's the problem here.
Get away with it, but then they get even sicker than they were before. Before they even found medical medium, they get even sicker than that, and that's what happened to me. I'm way worse off now than I was when I had my first session with Anthony. He saved my life. It's not like I was dying, but he saved the quality of my life, for sure. So many things cleared.
This is a guy speaking to you from a hospital bed with tubes up his nose, who can't go to the toilet. He's getting bed sores. Maybe he's catheterised, I don't know. And he's talking about how this guy saved his life. This is just fucking...
I did have a few symptoms that were really, really bothering me. I couldn't work because of them.
So when he was doing this shit, he was having symptoms.
In between being one of the not so sick and the sick, I could still play around with maybe a couple things, but it was getting to the point where I just couldn't anymore. So I was definitely getting into the sick realm, and that's when I had my session with Anthony. Boy, man, he's slingshot me back into the not sick. Wasn't sick anymore. Everything cleared up, man. Just one of those success stories. That's amazing, My kidney pain went away. I had severe kidney pain. It was so hard to live with. He told me where that was coming from and how to get rid of that. I had a head problem, real bad headache. He told me why I had that, where that was coming from. He was telling me why I was having such a hard time with my diet, and he cleaned that up and cleared all that up for me. He gave me the green light to eat as much fruit as I could, as I wanted. And nobody's ever told me that, because I was one of these people who had fruit fear. Well, I thought if you eat too much fruit, you get diabetes, but he totally explained to me that's not how it works.
It is how it works. It's sugar.
The wagon, and with your diet, because I was trying to heal myself, so I've tried to go raw.
Let me say, I've not watched this video all the way through. I'm interested to see now. We've got a few minutes to, if he mentions if he's got diabetes now, or if he's got blood sugar problems.
Oh, but the way I was doing it, like throwing carrots and cucumbers and maybe some lettuce in a blender, blending it up and drinking that like it's a smoothie. I wasn't having much fruit, and he's like, that's what happens. That's why you try to eat like that for a week. You give up, you break down, and you go to the health food store and get these vegan candy bars and vegan treats and rolled date rolls. Why? Well, because what's in all that stuff? Honey, dates, all this sweet stuff that your brain is screaming for. Your brain is screaming for glucose. It's screaming for calories. Your body is, and you're not giving it to yourself because you're afraid of fruit. He wasn't using these exact words, but that's pretty much the point that he was making. And that's why I was doing this, going through this cycle of trying to be what I thought was a vegan, having a breakdown.
Apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Gorging on that. Then I would try again. And, it's just the binging that people do, and that Anthony talks about, that people do because they don't know what they're doing. Starving themselves of glucose, starving themselves of carbs, starving themselves of calories, and then they what? They go binge because
meat,
they need
dairy.
To. They think having potatoes is like the devil. But they go and try to do it anyway. But they don't realize that the calories and the glucose that you see when you're checking out your food at the grocery store, all those candy bars, man, all those donuts, your brain is confused. That's what it thinks glucose is.
No, but
that's what it thinks
it's all shit. Like, you're right, all that stuff is shit. So what's the alternative? When you get a craving to eat something, you need to eat a bit of fish. You need to eat a bit of meat. Have a glass of milk. Oh, this is like fucking so bad. 30 minutes, I'm going to stop this in a minute. It's fucking depressing out of me.
You're in the wrong aisle. Go to the fruit section.
Oh my God.
You have a green light. you have a total green light to get as many melons, cantaloupes, oranges, apples, cherries, grapes, dates, mangoes, papayas. It's all there. And when Anthony gave me the green light to get all that, man, I went on a shopping spree. He changed my life, I would come home and just you make a papaya smoothie with like a few tablespoons of honey in it. And I'm like, really? You can do that? He's like, yeah, you can do that. and I, start doing stuff like that. And man, it was like being pulled out of the grave. I just went right back to work, and I had so much more energy than everybody, just bouncing around, and I started to look good, taking the supplements, and Anthony, like, he changed my life. People were even
It's like
telling
he's
me,
going
like,
hypo
you
or
look
something.
so good, your skin is
Hypoglycemic.
just glowing, and you work so much, and I even started working out and going to the gym, something I've never done. And it's so funny because I was like that for 5-6 years. Doing so good. Yeah, I would slip up a little bit here and there. But nothing like I was doing. Certainly not getting takeout. I'm talking like medical medium type slip ups where if I was out and I found a vegan restaurant that maybe had some gluten
Oh my
or
God.
something.
Gluten.
Maybe I could tell there was like maybe MSG in one of the dishes because I felt weird, or just something weird like that. Nothing too major, but nothing like what I did to myself over the past 2 years. Nothing since what I started doing in 2020. But it's been kind of scary what's developed. I don't want people to be afraid, I'm here because I have to be here. Believe me, I put it off for a long time. Like,
In hospital,
I
you
didn't
mean?
want to have to come here because I knew I was going to have to battle and do some fights about things like blood draw, and that's not fun. Anybody who's ever had to go through that and you're really chronic.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it here because it's just like fucking awful situation. I don't know if this guy's alive or dead. Yeah. The video title is called Update -- Health Stuff, and the uploader is Matt Rice. And I hope to God this guy hasn't died, but this doesn't look good. This is over a year ago. He's posted this. Very, very. This is horrific. This is what happens to people when they get convinced of something. I know so many people not in this situation, but friends of mine, they lecture me on how bad my diet is, how great their diet is. Don't eat this, the vegan, you got to eat vegetarian, don't eat meat. They'll go on at me for an hour, okay, fair enough. And then when they're finished, oh, do you want to come down the pub for a pint? Oh no, I've got a really bad headache. This is the state you can get. You can, I don't know. There's so many things you could say about this situation. People will literally convinced themselves that it's almost like they're wrong, they're impure, and the belief that they've got is pure. If only they believed a bit more, then things would work, but they didn't believe enough. Blaming MSG, the water they were cooking the food in, the rice, because I was working in this environment, the oil, and the man's literally killing himself because he's convinced of this diet. I don't know anything about this medical medium at Anthony. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't even want to know. Anyway, I'm going to fucking stop it.